Hello, everybody. Dan John here from danjohnuniversity.com. I'm in one of my favorite places in the world. I'm at Pope's Pub in, well, as I say it, Twickenham, England, and as everybody else here says it, Twickenham, England. It's just an absolute delight to be here. I hope the sound quality is good. I'm doing my best to keep up on my podcast because this is podcast 107 of the danjohnuniversity.com podcast. I think I'm over my jet lag. Though I had one of those moments a few minutes ago. I do everything I can to not get jet lag, but honestly, it's tough to do. Had a wonderful weekend at James St. Pierre's place, Unique Fitness, and of course, how do you get Unique Fitness? Unique up on it. This week I'll be at St. Mary's, and then I'll do my workshop with Jamie, and then I'll be home. The site is doing well. Brian and I came out with a free workshop for our members called, Fitness Across a Lifetime. And what we'll be doing there soon is I'll be putting together a fat loss with easy strength program. And it's nice because one of the questions this week is about that. And I will be following up on more easy strength materials here in the next, very soon. We'll have a whole new section of easy strength information for the advanced trainer, and people just want to take the journey like I did into some different directions. I'm here to help. Had a lot of good feedback since I got here about the university, about the workout generator, and how there are personal trainers who take my sound advice and use the workout generator to help their clients, which I just think is genius. And it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Hop on, enjoy what's there. Everything I have is on there. Over the years, I can see myself pushing even the stuff from danjohn.net over here. That'll be interesting. As you know, danjohn.net is my internet library, my archive. And Dan John University is the new stuff. But I'm starting to think it might be a good idea, not today, downstream, to put them all in one place. Hey, let's look at some questions, shall we? Okay. Look a little rough today. This jet lag's kicking in. Tony has a question. Tony says this: I have a question regarding going uphill backwards, and why is it especially beneficial for women? Well, I thought I talked about that in detail before, Tony, but this is the internet, and so everybody asks a lot of the same questions. So we first came up with this idea years and years ago in Denison, Ohio at discus camp, and we were doing farmer walks up hills, and one of the first things we all noticed was how that horseshoe muscle around the knees really started to light up when you did the farmer walk backwards up a hill. If you don't have a hill, if you don't live in Utah or Colorado or something, or Vermont, you can do it with sleds, just walking backwards with sleds. Though I've actually had some people tell me, I found this interesting, that just simply walking backwards is helpful too, which I really thought was like, because, as a strength coach, everything I think and do, has to be load, 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 load. And yet, as I've been around for a while, I started strength coaching in 1979, actually before a little bit too. Just because I fall in love with load doesn't mean the whole world needs more load, more load, more load. So it's the horseshoe muscle building. And while we were doing it that day, we had a number of really fine high school female athletes who play volleyball and basketball and track, who began to tell me, it was like almost instant feedback. If you've got instant feedback, almost universally is that aha moment. Wow, I can't believe this. And they were saying that this is what their trainer, their therapist was trying to get, that feeling of that burn around there. That's what they said I should have. But when they did those other exercises, they didn't feel it. They felt it on their quads higher up, and there's nothing wrong with that. But with the Q angle on women, that's the hips to knee angle, instead of being straight down, there's a bit of an angle. Where that kind of connects down there, Tony, is to the knee. That can be an area that gets a little, one bad landing in a volleyball game or a basketball game, and boom, ACL or PCL or whatever the L's are nowadays, and you need those. He says this, can you help me out and just give an overview of this exercise and its benefits for women specifically, and maybe a loose outline of how to get into your training program? Well, I don't know, Tony, if that's so complicated to walk backwards up a hill, but you could do it like we do. During our walks, we have a little mound we go to, and we walk backwards up the mound, and that's we kind of pick some numbers and just go up and over and up and over and up and over. It is one of the sad things with the onslaught of COVID and the pandemic is that this was becoming a daily practice in our gym, and we got away from it. And it's something that, and thank you for reminding me of it, Tony, I want to bring it back because I really like doing it. So you can just throw it in, you can just sprinkle it in like a herb or a spice into a meal, just, toss it in a little bit. Or you could say, 2 days a week, 1 day a week, as part of your strength conditioning program, you put it in. Since it is a loaded carry, if you're doing backward sled pulls in a gym, we put it towards the later part of the workout. I don't really use that idea very much, but one thing I think might be a really good idea is if you're having your female athletes do hinge family, hip thrusts. Supersetting hip thrusts with backward sled carries might be a really good idea. Supersetting squat variations with backward walking might be a really good idea. I don't have experience with it, but my insight tells me I'm right on that. Okay, thank you. I have a question from Mike, and it's a bit of a medical question, but I just want to reference it because I have some friends going through this. Mike says, 3 months back, I broke my collarbone. The doctors decided to let it heal naturally, and now I suffer from a dropped shoulder about 2 inches. I'll say, so my friend Sarge has the same problem, same exact problem. And it is interesting, and how very often with collarbone breaks now, they immobilize the joint, you kind of walk around like this for 6 weeks. But they don't do anything to it. I do have some friends who have plated collarbones. Obviously, those are much worse injuries. Injuries are injuries. I'm not judging. You don't have a bad enough injury. But yeah, same thing happened with Sarge and another person I know, where after a while, the shoulder was like this. I think at 3 months, it still might be too early to judge. Again, this is now sliding over into medical advice, and I don't want to do that, but just from what I've seen and the feedback I've gotten from others, collarbones because there's no surgery and because the healing is almost entirely, your human person is taking care of business, it might take a little bit longer for it to kind of, everything else to slide back where it should be, grow back where it should be. Harrison got back into the gym, and while hanging and doing pull-ups, well, maybe it's a little too soon, I really noticed it. Would you recommend I work on anything in particular? I'm a huge fan of hanging and pull-ups. Am I better doing more single work, less chest press, over bench, etc.? Really? I don't know what that's. Hope this doesn't affect my future training efforts. Well, Mike, like I tell people all the time, I've been lifting weights since 1965. How many 3 month period is that? It's a big number. I don't know what it is. It's what, 100? It's a lot. It's a big number. Maybe sneaking up on 2 now, huh? Give the injury time to heal. I always recommend to people with injuries, upper body injuries, really work on your lower body. The only problem with the collarbone, like a neck and collarbones are the hardest to work around because everything seems to come back to them. If you can do any squat variation, if you can do belt squats, if you can do anything that gets your legs working, will make you feel better emotionally, but also help you heal up a bit. I don't have a ton of advice for you. I would really wish you would listen to whoever you're going through as your physio, your physical therapist, and take their advice. I'm sure long-term that hanging and pull-ups are going to be very helpful. And I don't want to give medical advice, but I'm just hearing here my own inner medical doctor, it's too early maybe, okay? So it might just be a little early. Do what you can. Get your sleep in, get your walking in. Walk. Do what you can do. And then I don't make any judgments, by the way, personally, until 6 months after an injury or a surgery. Now, if it's a smaller injury, then, things, I'll just change some things up. But for something like this, I still want to think you'd take a little bit more time. Okay? Thank you. Good question. Jim says to us, with things that are going on in my life and the world in general, I woke up at 2 a.m. feeling like worrying about things like diet and exercise is trivial, futile, and even selfish. Convince me I'm wrong. Well, I can't convince you of anything, Jim. I can't get people to eat vegetables or drink water. But I know this. There's a great thing from Earl Nightingale where there was a father and the little boy was being irritating during a big game. So the dad found a map of the world and he ripped it up into small pieces. And he said, put this back together for me. And he watched the game. And of course, the son comes back really quickly with the map of the world done, and really quickly. And the dad said, how did you do that? And the little boy says, Daddy, on the back was the picture of a man. And when I put the man together, the world went together. I've always loved that little story because when you put yourself together, that's number one. Now listen, we talked about the injured healer all the time in my field in spirituality and theology. All of us are wounded ministers. Every person you know. It's interesting when you think about that. Everyone you know is a wounded healer. And some people just decide to keep bringing on more wounds. But if you take care of yourself, you take care of the world. I make decisions based on my grandchildren all the time. When I find out that this and that is going to be terrible by the year 2050, I do little things, like I've really personally cut back my gasoline consumption. I try very hard now to be much less wasteful, even though I've never been very wasteful. You know what? Here's something we do sometimes. You go for a walk, but you carry with you a pair of gardening gloves and a bag. And as you walk, you pick up trash as you walk. And yeah, it's all about you getting your fat loss and all these other things. But really, you're making the world better. And if everybody, kicked in and picked up trash and, didn't waste energy, didn't waste resources, and was a little bit kinder, most of the stuff in the world would kind of take care of itself. I know that's Pollyanna-ish and it's a little bit simple, but just because it's simple doesn't mean it's not true. I can't convince you anything, Jim. I can't. But especially as a young father, I remember just thinking, I don't want my kids to grow up in a world at war. My kids grew up in a world at war. I'm sure my mom and dad were thinking when the Vietnam War kicked out so badly, I'm sure my dad was thinking, I thought we took care of this in the big one, with political corruption, I always think, I thought we took care of this with Watergate. But no, it comes back. It's your job to care about your health, your fitness, what you put in your mouth. It's your job to, keep fresh water fresh and clean. It's your job to pick up litter. It's your job to be a good neighbor, a good father, and a good mother, and all the rest. That's your job. And if we all do our jobs, as the sign says on the New England Patriots wall, do your job. Because if we all do your job, good things happen. I believe that with every fiber of my soul. We have a question from Armin. Armin says this: I'm a 51-year-old male. Well, good for you, you young buck. And like most people, have done strength training in fits and starts, but I've been at it consistently for 9 weeks. 9 weeks! Congratulations. We'll be sending you a gold trophy. My question is this. I remember from one of your books that you gave general guidance on strength standards for the young athletes. Is there something you think might be comparable for those of us nearing retirement, especially since work really doesn't demand much more than opening a laptop lid? So it's hard to gauge when I'm approaching strong enough. Yeah, Google my name, Dan John, and Sleepless in Seattle, strength standards, any one of those. And I have a full page on strength standards. And it's a mishmash, and they're all over the place. But what I would suggest is that, standard number 7 in the squat is do the overhead squat for 15 reps with your body weight. Yeah, that's probably a little too hard. But, standard number 1 is that you can appropriately do a goblet squat. I would suggest levels 1, 2, and 3 as long as you can in your life. And of course, now you have to look that up and find out what those numbers are. A lot of us are working on standards. When this conversation comes up, if you Google Chronicles of Strength, Pat Flynn, a couple episodes ago, we discussed this in depth. I'm not pushing away the answer. I'm just saying, look it up. And then what I'd like you to do, Armin, is get back to me and with some ideas you might have for things I'm missing. Thank you. We have a question from Gary. I have a brother named Gary. I last wrote in December regarding weight loss goals. You pointed me towards, and I followed, easy strength for fat loss, and lo and behold, dropped 15 pounds by following the plan. Wonder of wonder, miracle of miracles. Thanks, and go figure. Was 168 pounds and dropped to 153. Great, right? Yes and no. I still have more fat than I would like. I'm 5'7", 65 years old. Yeah, at 5'7", 65, 150. I like to maintain around 150. I'm just saying that's a good goal. But trade out some fat for muscle. Wouldn't we all? Dear God, brum, brum. Yeah, God, can I trade out some fat for muscle? Yeah, here you go. Yeah. I know it's tough. It's the two hardest things we do, I think, as human persons, is to lose fat and gain muscle. And the bulk of my questions are, Dan, how do I lose fat and gain muscle? I think it's a lot easier to get a PhD than it is to lose fat and get muscle. I have been back on easy strength for the last 4 weeks, and things are going well. Strength increases. I'm using the more classic 2x5 scheme, but sometimes wonder about switching to more hypertrophy type work due to my age. Gary, welcome to periodization. You can go to the danjohnuniversity.com workout generator, or you can just do what I'm about to say. Slide those 2x5s to 3x8s. Do 3x8 for a week, 3x10 for a week, 3x12 for a week. If you even want to do it easy strength style, 5 days a week, and that'd be a lot of load. You might have to start having days in between or having tonic workouts. But here's an idea: 3 days a week, 3 sets of 8, 3 days a week, 3 sets of 10, 3 days a week, 3 sets of 12, with a day dedicated to mobility and walking. 2 days for sure, ideally the other 4 days of the week. Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you need to do hypertrophy. But what I want you to do is get strong and then do hypertrophy week. I always worry about people who do hypertrophy when they're a little bit, like when you're first learning to lift weights. Of course, everything works then. But if you get strong, for example, if you're bench pressing 135 for 8, and we get you on easy strength, and the next time around you're benching 225 for 3 sets of 8, I can guarantee the body's adaptation to the 225 is going to be a lot bigger. Gosh, I hope that helped. Thanks. We have a question from Jan. I'm doing easy strength. Good. A lot of easy strength questions today. With swings, clean and press, fat bar deadlift like that, pull-ups, and ab wheel. As a former weightlifter, it does not bother me to do the same training every day. I did it a little longer, now 2 months longer than prescribed. In the last weeks, I am dealing with fatigue, physical and mental, and my maxes went down. It looks like I have no energy to push the bar above my head. I'm trying to walk a few miles every day and take in a sauna. Although I'm trying to eat the right way, I know that can improve more. Well, I would like to had you walk every day, take the sauna, and eat right before you even started the easy strength. Now here's the question. Would it be a good idea to have the 10,000 kettlebell swing challenge again to catch some wind? Yes, anything you can do. The reason I say the 40-day workout works, and then you can do it one more time, the 80-day workout. So you're looking about 4 months. When I did it for 4 months, I gotta tell you, once I got past month 3, I was like, ugh, I just can't. So my recommendation now is more, you do the original 40 workouts, you hang on for another 20, 21, 22, and then see you later and either get into a higher rep hypertrophy workout or something ballistic. I like this idea, Jan. I think there's some good wisdom to that. It's going to be a real game changer. I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but 40 days of easy strength, 20 days of the challenge, 40, 20, 40, 20. I don't know how long you could do that. I imagine a disciplined person could do it twice. A sociopath could do it 3 times, But yeah, I like the idea. I like it a lot. Okay, thanks. Good question. Tim, you are a father and grandfather, Tim, coach and educator. Please anger the internet trolls, okay, by providing your opinion on what is good and bad about the United States physical education system. Also, how would you go about making changes to the system? First off, you said it right there in the last word, system. There's no system. I've gone back, and I've said this publicly many times, there's not a knock on Dr. Friend, Professor Jones, Professor Ross Peterson, and many, Dr. Carol O'Connor, and many others. But I think sometimes the 2 best teachers that I learned the most from, I got to make sense, was Bob Jacobs, my biology teacher in high school. He had this brilliant way of, he would find the most interesting thing in this particular topic. When we studied fish, we basically had 2 weeks of sharks, how sharks attack, the warning signs sharks give, the different varieties of man-eating sharks versus just, sharks, lemon sharks you have to worry, leopard sharks you have to worry about, tiger sharks, bull sharks, bull sharks are bad, they're kind of jerks. Great whites get a lot of press, but bull sharks and tiger sharks are jerks. But here's the funny thing. And then you say, if you want, and be sure to read the chapter. Well, you'd be reading the chapter. Because he had this great way of teaching. He would stimulate your curiosity, and then you wanted to follow up. And of course, the other course is when Mr. Freeman and not Mr. Latoy, maybe? They were my 9th grade physical education teachers. And they basically, every 3 to 6 weeks, you learned a new sport. You learned the drills for the sport. There was a written test on it. There was a skills test on it. And there was a tournament. And you were graded on all 3. The skills, the written test on the rules and, things they taught you. And then, of course, the tournament was points, too. I think there was the least. So with wrestling, we wrestled and we had a tournament. And you got points for doing this or that. The weightlifting program, many of you know, it's called the Southwood Weightlifting Program. I've been teaching that my entire career. They had a system. When I worked at various schools, very often it looked to me like they just rolled a bunch of balls out, and some of the kids would sit in the bleachers fooling around, and some of the kids would play pickup basketball games, and some of the kids would go out and smoke dope or cigarettes or whatever they smoked. No system. It's got to be a system. Personally, I would do it more like the European model. I would do a lot more on how the body moves. I think you should learn sprint techniques. I think you should learn lateral movements. You should be trained. You should learn the Olympic lifts, the power lifts, the kettlebell moves, calisthenics. You should learn lifetime sports. I mean, I think ultimate frisbee is a marvelous PE sport. I got to tell you, kickball, that might be an American-only game, but it's fun, and but at the same time, you can also include conditioning and some other stuff in there, and drills. And Yeah, system. Get out a piece of paper, structure what you want to teach, and then teach it. And that's it. And if you don't have a system, things don't get done. People would come into my weight room at various times of the year and say, Mike, you're doing everything different than you were 3 months ago. Yeah, this is right now we're teaching Olympic lifting. Oh, well, what did you do at the powerlifting? Well, in a couple of weeks, we're going to come back and reboot that in. Oh, what about, it's like, wait, if you go to the math teacher and you said, wait, this is weird, a couple of months ago you're teaching triangles and now you're teaching squares. Are you still teaching triangles? Yeah, it's a system. All right. There's my answer. There's my perfect plan. Ask the president if he wants me to be in charge. Hey, well, listen, folks, that was an easy episode. Remember, if you have a question for me, go to email at podcast@danjohnuniversity.com. I do my best to answer each and every question. And remember, if you have questions and you're embarrassed to answer, just go through our YouTube videos or Google, the videos, and very often you'll find an answer to some of the questions you have. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.